Regrets are stressful. Reliving that moment when we should have, could have, would have, but we didn't. The moment when we shouldn't have, couldn't have, wouldn't have, but we did. And it goes over and over and over and plays over and over in the mind all day long, moment to moment. It's one thing to live with the consequences of what we've done or haven't done. It's another thing to live with the recurrence of that thing playing over and over and over in our mind, moment by moment, all through the day, until we are completely overwhelmed with this feeling of regret and remorse and this wish that things were different than they are. Regret comes from an inner conflict. There was an ideal set in our mind for what the way that things should be or the way that things should look in life, and it didn't work out that way. And in this case, we're responsible. Something we've done or haven't done has brought this about or changed this, or in our mind kept it from ever being the way that we wanted it to be. And so for some reason the mind goes back over and over, playing it over and over as if somehow going back to it would change it in some way. And it just doesn't. It just increases the remorse, the guilt, the anguish, the conflict. And our body is just filled with the chemical that we call regrets. And sometimes this is because we have this idea, I think, that many of us grew up with that's generations old, that somehow the more remorseful we are about what we've done or haven't done, the more likely we are to change in the future. But this just isn't true. So the step is moving into the regret, being with it, getting quiet and still, and watching it with a kind of curiosity to see what the feeling is like. Where does it show up in the body? Where do you feel these chemicals that we call regret? And just being with that, taking our attention away from the story and putting our attention more upon what is being felt in the moment. Think about it this way. Let's suppose you're going to a brand new city, never been to before, and you've heard about a mall there that has all these great shops that you'd like to go to, and there's this one particular shop you're really interested in. And so you go to the mall and go in the entrance, but you don't know where this store is, and you're very excited about going to this one particular store, and you'd like to know where it is. So they help you out. They have like a schematic that you can look at. It has a list of all the stores. So you go to the schematic and you look it up, and you find the store, and you see that, oh, it's at D4 on the map. So you go over to the map and you find D4, and now you know where it is on the map, but you still can't get to the store because you're lacking one piece of information that's vitally important to you being able to get to that store from where you are. And they help you out with this. It's such an important piece of information, they put a big red arrow pointing to this spot on the map, and in big letters, you are here. You see, until you know where you are, you can't get to the destination you want to get to. And so what this tells us analogously is that we have to come into the moment, be where our feet are, be where we are now, be able to accept that this has happened. I can't go back over it and over it and change it one bit. This is history now. This is what has happened, and it has brought me to this moment. And so maybe you get up in the morning, and before you let your feet touch the ground, you sit on the edge of the bed and you let this feeling come up, because oftentimes it'll show up the first thing in the morning, right? You'll remember, oh God, the ideal is not going to be met. It's not like it was. What I had in mind, it's not going to happen. I've made this mistake, and it's affected my life, and it's just not the way that I wanted it to be. And so be with that feeling. Take a deep breath and just be with that feeling just as it is. Find out where it's at in the body. Get to know it. Get acquainted with it rather than resisting it and trying to push it away. And before you get started, before you leave the bed, just say to yourself, this is my new starting point. This is my you are here. This is where I begin today with all that's happened exactly as it is. I can't change a bit of it. This is where I am in time, in space, in history. This is what I have, and I have to accept this. This is my new starting point. This is where I start from. And I think what you'll find is an increased hope and excitement, because now you can set your mind on that D4, on that store, on that place, in that new ideal, and then back it all out and say, this is where I'm at, I'm in this moment, this is where I am, and I can move on from here and begin again.